right? This is forming what's often referred to as a grid. And the grid contains all those different permutations. And now you can see here there's a loop. At line 16, there's a Python loop that goes through and tests each one of those permutations, right? You can see in the very first one, you're using all the parameters here, right? And you're going to go through and say, okay, here, this is what I'm fitting. These are the different things I want you to try. All right. So here again, we're verifying that we have everything that we need to be able to run our experiments. Here, it's telling you how to pull out the best parameters, because one of these permutations will, emerge as the champion model, right? So these are the combination of uses, combination of hyperparameters that you want to use, and then it goes on to tell you the different hyperparameters that can be tuned. It's known as a tuning process, right? Hyperparameter tuning. So these are the 4 that it recommends, and there's a couple more. Well, there's one more that's telling you that it's possible, and the others that really don't make sense to tune. And only they would know that, because they know how it's, how it's created, below the hood, right? I think there's one part. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's one part I did miss. And the last thing you should note here in this code, where they're doing that tuning, they're also designating that RMSE is what they want to measure against. That's the metric that they're choosing to measure against. There's a lot of ways to arrive at that, but if you just wanted to say, well, I just want to use MSE instead of RMSE, you could. This is where you would change that. But the point is that you always want to make sure that you have that metric to measure against. Otherwise, you can't say one model is better than the other, right? All right, good. So we're going to leave the documentation here, and I'm going to go back to the deck, because we're basically nearing a conclusion here, right? Because now we have all the components, right? We have all the components that we need. So I want to go back to the deck. Are there any more questions before I leave, the documentation? Last call for questions, and then we're going to go back to the deck. Actually, let me go back to... Anybody? Nobody? Okay. All right. So let's go back to our deck, and let's put a cherry on top here, right? Let's tie this all together. So now that we understand what we can do with this, now we can start thinking about projects.